take projection.
It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And it's me, Stephen Eford.
And y'all want to do Dynamite and AEW first, or do you want to do WWE since we got a pay-per-view there?
I think AEW.
We can do whatever y'all want to do. Okay. We can do that.
Well, let's start with AEW then. We'll start with last week with AEW Dynamite. I'm just going to go through our notes here, and y'all can call out whose was whose, whatever the word needs to be there. Y'all can call it out. So they did a great job explaining and putting over the Continental Classic in the opening. I'm here for it. This seems tailor-made to put over Swerve. Stacked brackets.
I think that was mine. Yeah, so the Continental Classic was the thing that I think last week we were all like, what is this thing? And this week they started the show literally with the opening graphic. They went heavy on it.
The rules.
I feel like the rules were completely clear. Like there's two guys, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Everybody's going to wrestle everybody. Last two guys wrestle for these three championships. I'm like, okay. A lot of times we give AEW a lot of shit because they don't explain things.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind also, WWE doesn't have to explain things because there's a history. Like, we all know what the Royal Rumble is, right?
But they still explain it, though. You still get
They still explain it.
The Rumble by the numbers.
But, like the Dynamite Diamond Ring thing, I felt like from earlier this year was just kind of like, okay, so there's a battle royal, and then but they don't win it. They still have to wrestle. Like, it was confusing.
Mm-hmm.
The Owen Hart Cup, like, what even is it? Is it a title? Is it not a title? This was like, nah, here's it is. And here's the dude you should pay attention to. Here out comes Swerve Strickland to start the show fresh off his win. I thought this was fantastic.
This whole bracket and stack brackets, you've got... This is where I start getting curious about some things. I think this is an amazing thing. I love these tournaments because it gets me to care about the people because I know what they're fighting for. I know why they're trying to do it. I know how they're trying to do it.
Yeah.
Got half the show out of these three matches because each one is going to like roughly 15 to 20 minutes, 20-minute time limit.
Yeah.
The thing, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. The thing I like about this is like, usually with some of these tournaments sometimes is there's like a lot of mid-card people and you're like, oh, well, they have no shot. Basically, anybody on this fucking tournament could win this thing.
I mean, you would be surprised at some of them if they won it.
Jay Lethal and Daniel Garcia, if either one of them wins, I'm shocked.
I mean, sure. But
Danny Garcia has a shot. I think this was in the notes. He has a shot to come out of this as like a scrappy underdog. I kind of thought that like, if you gave me the pencil, like how would you book Garcia in this thing? I would have him do a draw with all these people. He'd be the only guy that would just like, one. Of course, he's not going to win the tournament that way.
Right.
But, like, you can build up a scrappy kind of underdog like that. But no, like you said, Swerve's in this fucking thing. Jay White's in this thing. Kingston. Like.
Now, because you watched all this.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to rank the 5 that happened so far, or has 6 happened?
There's been 5. It's weird because Danielson hasn't wrestled in the blue group yet.
Yeah.
So all of the gold group guys have already wrestled. And then the blue group is of course, they're waiting for Danielson's injury, but
if you had to rank those 5 matches, who did the best, who had the most fun, the one you enjoyed most, how would you rank them? Who's your number one?
I think Moxley and Mark Briscoe at the end of the show at Dynamite I liked that a lot. And then I thought Swerve Strickland looked strong because Jay Lethal wasn't as competitive as like Mark Briscoe was.
I thought that was my first one because I felt like that match had more. I understood the psychology of it. They were more in chemistry together, whereas, don't get me wrong, my number 2 is your number 1 right now. So we're right there. To me, that Jay White Roosh match, I fell asleep in it 3 times.
Oh, I still like that match. I think I got my note in there. I thought that was still great.
The chop fest that went on for 3/4 of that match.
Yeah.
I could not keep my attention with it. I could care less about Jay White right now because he is such a goofball that's gone from your top guy to your mid-card scene.
Yeah. He's Jay White, though, like, there were reports, and probably as he should have been, there were reports he was not too happy coming out of Full Gear.
I wouldn't.
Out of that main event. I wouldn't be either. this is kind of a rehabilitation project for Jay White too. Especially like if you go and like watch the online exclusive, which is they kind of on Collision cut everybody into one big package, but they're interviewing all the winners after the fact behind the scenes. That's where Jay White flourishes. Like those New Japan press conferences where he came in and was just like sweaty as hell and flipping tables.
I'm the only one with G1 experience. I'm going to win it.
Yeah, like that's.
He was the catalyst.
That is where he's good. That's where he shines and excels. And he's probably got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to kind of show out in this tournament as well. But
Garcia's was good backstage too, because Garcia started basically going down that whole scrappy underdog road that you're talking about.
You were saying that you already got that spot booked in there. Who's the scrappy underdog you're seeing in this thing?
Garcia.
You said, but there's already somebody.
Eddie Kingston.
Okay.
Eddie Kingston, and flash forward to he lost, ended up losing his match. He's going to be the guy that's the scrappy underdog.
That's my third of where I would have ranked him with Claudio and Garcia being that fourth rank.
Yeah. But I to me personally, when this Continental Classic ends, I think we're going to see 3 belts on Swerve Strickland. Like, to me, he has to be the guy that comes out of this thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to.
And that's
and be the winner.
I made a hand note here. In the first 20 minutes of Dynamite, there was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 belts.
Yeah.
9
That's a lot
belts.
of fucking belts.
And that's not even all the belts on the show.
I wish that here's the thing. If you're talking about just straight AEW belts.
But see, you can't talk straight AEW belts because they're bringing everybody's belt. You got New Japan Strong belt is there to be defended. You got the ROH belts, Pure one being defended on.
I wish the Ring of Honor belts would go away.
What's happened to the TV one? Is it going to be defended somewhere?
Yeah, just take it back to the Ring of Honor network. I don't like that. I don't like the Ring of Honor belts. I don't mind the New Japan belt that much because there's a close. New Japan guys have the whole fucking Forbidden Door thing in the summer is a big crossover event. So I don't mind that, but just dial it down on the number of like Ring of Honor belts. But in terms of just like straight AEW belts, right now they got the same amount as WWE.
I just think it's hilarious that we have a Continental Classic. They are debuting a Continental belt, which is essentially a U.S. title.
Yeah.
That they're pairing up now with New Japan.
Yeah.
Which makes it an Intercontinental, I guess, at this stage.
Yeah. Well, they're what was the international title? What was it when Orange Cassidy first? All Atlantic?
Yeah.
And it had like countries' flags in there that weren't in the Atlantic Ocean. So it's like they're not. I mean, geography's not their strong suit. But I like the tournament.
But I really, I agree. This is a great. I love tournament style things because you don't have to have story behind it because it has built-in story.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I was hoping when they started these statistics. That was going to be. So this is giving me that taste.
It's
of
more sport.
Yeah,
it's more sport style.
I would agree with that.
Moving on to the next ones, that we could probably run these next couple of copy points together. So Adam Cole is clearly the devil, right? Samoa Joe is a beast on the mic and kind of bullied MJF in this segment, and when he's like, "You're my property," etc. And then we've got MJF and Roderick Strong possible team up ? Interesting. Like, we had fun speculating on if. There was a chance that CM Punk would be the devil, and that's clearly out. And we got
our answer.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. There's
Forbidden Door.
There's no there's no other logical answer at this point other than Adam Cole.
And this is the first time they've really hinted at it.
Why though?
Because he's egging MJF on to put himself in situations that may put him in a disadvantaged position of defending the title. And also, there's a very keen Squared Circle Reddit user who noticed that right before the devil popped up on the screen, Adam Cole, for no reason at all, just put his hand in his pocket. Looked like he was pressing a button. And then when they came out, he took his hand out of his pocket. Because at this point, it has to be kind of blatant. Because why would your friend has a torn labrum?
Yeah.
And he's only going to work one program, then he's going to be out for a little bit, from what I understand.
And so, if there's one dude who's going to take the title from him and have it make sense,
so
give me Samoa Joe.
What do you do now with the Ring of Honor belts we were just talking about? This is a perfect opportunity to get them back in Ring of Honor, those belts, right?
The tag team belts?
Yeah, if neither Adam Cole nor MJF can defend them.
The gun should have had them at this stage.
Yeah, I think you can vacate them and wash your hands of it and go back around and have some kind of tournament. But Samoa Joe, I mean, listen, this is the Samoa Joe that is fantastic at everything he does.
Samoa Joe is one of my go-to dudes. You put him on screen, I love seeing him. You put that title on him, because I think the title has devalued under MJF. It has not become a premier title at this stage. When you've got your top guys essentially at this stage more interested in the Continental Classic that they're doing as opposed to going after that belt, you essentially have Samoa Joe. Jay White's moved on. He doesn't care about that belt anymore. And maybe Adam Cole. But Adam Cole doesn't really even seem to want it anymore. He's more concerned about his friend.
I mean, I still think the belt is, like we said, MJF, the whole show for the last 2 months has revolved around him. And in terms of like prestige, like let's not forget that like this dude was in the greatest Iron Man match of all time a couple months ago. Like he's put on banger after banger. Like that's what matters in that company. Like as much as we would like the stories to happen in AEW, like they come and they go.
Well, see, this one has a story, though. This one has a solid story. It's just a story that has drug on for so long and has just been so...
But this is an interesting wrinkle in it because now you have Samoa Joe. First of all, he gets his rematch.
Yep.
And it's the perfect way to book it because he says, you're my property. No one's going to touch you. You're going to be at 100%. It protects MJF from having to get beat up. And then what's probably going to happen at World's End is... I think this is where you do see the devil be revealed as Adam Cole or whoever, the henchman, end up jumping MJF, give Samoa Joe gets the advantage in the match. He pins MJF. Then the guys jump in the ring, and because Samoa Joe's got his belt now, it doesn't matter. MJF's not his property. He can leave, and they beat the shit out of MJF, and you write MJF off TV.
But again, why? What's the story behind that in Adam Cole? Because obviously, if it's not for the belt, what is it for? Then?
Adam Cole, I think you can easily explain it off as like Adam Cole, like he can reason it as I'm jumping you before you do this to me. You've done it to everybody else.
It just seems like a long build for a shallow payoff.
I don't think so. I think it'll be satisfying when it happens.
Yeah, there's been moments like hints in the past. They haven't done a ton of them lately, but there was that who's going to turn first thing that they kept doing.
I like that, and I think one of them should turn on the other one. I just don't. To me, at this stage, I stand by Tony Khan is behind the devil. MJF is my second choice at this stage.
I don't want to see Tony Khan on TV.
No, Jesus, no.
I don't either. But I can tell you that in his mind, based on how he's done other things, it's somewhere in there.
So potential team up between MJF and Roddy.
Oh, I think this is perfect where Adam Cole makes his devil group, and Roderick Strong's not in it. Because Roderick Strong with this next Strong is an easy babyface. The crowd already wants to cheer for him.
They do.
And so you have Roderick Strong and MJF could team up down the road at some point as two guys who have been spurred by this Adam Cole guy who they thought was their best friend.
Yeah.
Because along this way, MJF has picked up other friends, right? The Acclaimed. And so you could have whoever Adam Cole's guys are going to be, if it's a returning Kyle O'Reilly and Wardlow, and maybe it's a Danny Garcia, whoever it is. I mean, the Acclaimed, the Kingdom, obviously. You have the Acclaimed, Roderick Strong, and MJF. Because you have to take the belt. I think when you're doing this devil reveal, and if you do an MJF versus Adam Cole feud, I don't think it needs the title involved in it. I think that's why Samoa Joe's going to take the title and do something.
I think they need to get the title off MJF in any way they can. Samoa Joe is a legitimate contender who, like I said, he brings some prestige back to that and can have some bangers with some people.
And you could do Samoa Joe and Danielson. You could do Samoa Joe and Moxley, whoever, like whatever babyface you want to throw up against Samoa Joe.
So we got several more left for Dynamite before we get to Collision. Let's burn through a couple of these pretty quickly, and then we'll spend a little more time on the Christian Cage thing. Hook isn't ready for TV. Who was that?
That's me. Get him off TV. He should be in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah,
he should be in Ring of Honor.
And I don't care about the FTW title. That is a title you could drop in the garbage tomorrow.
You drop that one,
and nobody would care. Only Taz would care.
Yeah, it's not a thing. And it's kind of boring that they pretend that it is. Is Tony Schiavone a heel?
This confused me because we get the Adam Copeland bashing in Nick Wayne's head.
Yeah,
and we'll get some more of that.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone is back there talking about, oh, this is all because of Christian Cage. We get a backstage segment later where Jericho had interrupted Ricky Starks and Big Bill at the press conference. And in a backstage thing, they jump him. They bash his arm in with a crate, so he's crippled and injured. And Schiavone's out there going, "Oh, he deserved it for interrupting him." If you were going to get mad at one person and blame, have some consistency. Are you the good guy? Are you the bad guy? You can't be the bad guy because you got Nigel over there doing it 50,000 times better than you.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone we've talked about this before. He should be like the GM.
Yeah,
the authority figure in AEW.
They need that
on
desperately.
Screen.
They desperately need an authority figure there, I think.
Yeah, I kind of thought at one point when they started announcing all those different role changes last year, Schiavone stepped away from commentary a little more, and he's got more of a backstage role with the talent and stuff. And I thought maybe they would ease him into that, but it hasn't turned out that way.
He looks so disgruntled to be everywhere he's at, too.
I mean, I guess if somebody was going to rip a microphone out of my hand and not let me do my job, I'd be pretty fucking mad too, probably, right?
Yeah.
Timeless Tony Storm is the best character in wrestling right now, and the award for worst direction.
The worst direction is me. They brought her out to give this awards championship ceremony, and they think, the people out there that want to be like Tony Storm. They immediately cut to some girl in the audience who is so disinterested,
bored out of her mind.
She is just looking around, picking her nose, whatever. She has no desire to be watching this wrestling show, and that's who you show on your TV to show how interested you are in your champion.
Part of that is on the director. Part of that is on the camera operators. Camera operators should know before the director tells them, hey, because they've got somebody designated for reaction shots, at least one person, if not more. They should have done a better job with that.
Why do we need to keep seeing reaction shots in wrestling?
I mean, that's a
the
good
CM
question.
Punk thing was the same as they cut away from him. If you watch New Japan will just let the camera linger for like 3 minutes. Even as a match is going on, the camera just stays and it doesn't cut, and the guys are doing the thing. I just don't want, just let Tony walk out and just keep the camera on her.
Everybody wants to have that Ms. Girl moment where you get to see how somebody else is feeling so that they know how they should be feeling. And they take the wrong disinterested is how you should be feeling about Tony Storm, according to that.
That was a camera operator and director error.
But Timeless Tony Storm, fantastic. I mean, she's fantastic. They continue to add to her character. And I think it was reported that she's working with RJ City quite a bit, which you can kind of tell because RJ City, if you follow him on social media, has a love for classic movies. Like the fact that she mentioned Jack Warner, who's been dead for, I don't know, a long ass time. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I love it. And we'll see where it continues to go. But this is what we talked about. That title, she doesn't need that title. That title kind of needs her at this point.
Do you keep up with the Hey EW stuff?
Yeah.
That RJ City is a comedic genius.
Yeah. And you can have him work with these guys. He probably has a lot of input in the Next Strong thing too.
I mean, it could be. It's his main goal is there to just do online content mostly. They have been using him on TV though.
Yeah.
On screen. So it does make you wonder.
With him and Renee. But yeah, I think, this program needs some levity like that every now and then. And, too much will kill you.
Dalton Castle.
Yes.
Let's bring in.
Yeah.
I'll say that every week.
I mean, I would rather see Dalton Castle than a lot of people that I've watched on wrestling this week, honestly. So
I'm tired of the boys, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, they just get their ass whooped every time. Who fucked them up? This what was it?
Kill Switch.
Kill Switch. Yeah.
So the next item is Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker is an intriguing undercard story.
So, if you go back and watch any Attitude Era stuff, which I'll talk about again when we talk about WWE, one of the big characteristics of the Attitude Era is literally everybody on that show had something to do. There was a story. Job Squad, everybody. Didn't matter where you were at on the card. Somebody had something going on.
Yep.
At least this thing with Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker is
it's a side story.
It's something, yeah. They're doing something with it.
It gives Saraya and Ruby some sort of angle.
It gives Matt Menard something to play off of.
It gave Daddy Magic a chance to exercise his Randy Macho Man Savage impersonation.
Yeah. So it's little moments. It wasn't overbearing. This match didn't go long. This match also like helped solidify Sky Blue as a serious wrestling talent. Also, it did a lot of things at one time.
I love wrestling storylines that involve like, mismatched couples.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens now. We'll see where they go with it. But like, it's easy. There you go. And now everybody has something to do.
Yeah. We touched on this a minute ago. Mox versus Briscoe was a great close to the show, and I love that they spent time at the end to update the grid standings. Yeah, that was cool. Like, they don't expect you to completely keep up with everything, and that they're showing basically the scoreboard at the end of the show.
Yeah, it's new, so beat the audience over the head with it.
Yep.
Make them know that this matters. This is important. These guys are fighting for something that's important, and I
here's
love
how
Moxley.
they're doing it.
Yeah, and here's how they're doing it. And I love Moxley. We talked about it. He's one of the biggest stars. I'm not the biggest star in that company. And Mark Briscoe is just entertaining every time he gets on screen.
I want going off this because we haven't seen one match, and that's the Daniel Bryanson match.
Yeah.
With and this is
Did
where
you say Daniel Bryanson?
I did. I did. Brian Danielson.
Took me a second.
It when you change a name back and forth like that, you go and get it.
I mean, I get it.
This is where we have a disagreement hardcore on how wrestling happens in AEW. And I'm a firm believer that they need to tone their asses down. You got Daniel Bryanson getting ready to come, and Brian Danielson getting ready to come in there and have his match next week.
Yeah.
If he is not 100% healed up, with the number of people that are in your top card that are out injured, you are risking the chance, because that man will put his heart and soul in that match. He will throw his body and caution to the wind. And he ain't, if you let him do what he wants to do, he is not going to make the end of that tournament.
I mean, listen, injuries happen at any kind of point. Like, you could take a regular body slam. I get what you're saying, that there is a heightened level when you work at this kind of rate. But again, I will maintain what I've always said. You have to let these guys. I'm a firm believer you have to just let these guys be who they are.
I want to see him wrestle as long as he wants to wrestle. I don't care if that's into his 50s like a Ric Flair. because I enjoy watching him I enjoy when he is on my screen. He is a great, amazing wrestler.
Yeah.
But he does not know how to not go 130%.
But I think that is what makes him great. And so if you try to take that away,
I'd see he started working a little bit smarter for a little bit. And hell, even Max was like, you don't have to work as crazy as you do. And then he goes out there and does the crazy ass shit and ends up injured. I mean,
but that's what separates that product from WWE. Like,
see, I don't think you need to injure your people in order to separate your stuff.
Well, they're not trying to injure. Like, injuries happen, and like
injuries happen. But if you don't have somebody back there saying, "Bitch, chill your shit,"
you got to let the guys be who they are. You got to let them. You got horses. You got to let them run. I'll stick by that till the day that I die. Because if you don't, then you're sanitizing it, and then you just become.
Well, I mean,
become Randy Orton and Dominic Mysterio at the end of Monday Night Raw, and you're just like, all right, I've seen this match has happened 4 times already on this.
I turned it off before it got to them.
Like,
I didn't basically watch the. I went back and watched CM Punk, but I got to a certain point. I was like, I'm fucking tired of watching.
I just think run in the direction that makes you great, and.
See, I want these people to be happy, healthy, live past those moments of spot monkey glory.
Here's the thing, though: if they could go be in WWE, a lot of these people could if they wanted to, but they're in AEW for a reason.
I really think Bryan Danielson's in AEW to wrestle these kind of crazy matches.
I think with the hoops that he would have to jump through, and I think Samoa Joe is another one that's like that. The hoops that they would have to jump through
Moxley.
in order to get cleared to wrestle in WWE is significantly higher because of what they are, which is a publicly traded company that has to answer to people on a regular basis, whereas AEW has the luxury of just having to answer to one person.
Yeah.
Right. So these next couple of talking points can go together. kind of bleed from Dynamite into Collision. Christian Cage segment. Love the name change for Luchasaurus. I think we could probably all agree there. Nick Wayne is going to be a big star. And why the fuck did the mom not cover up her son and prevent the chair shot? And then one of you guys said the telling of this Adam Copeland Christian story is fine, but there's way more interesting ways to tell it.
Yeah, this is where a writing team, again, I'm going to hammer this point home. This is where when you put the idea up on the whiteboard, somebody goes, we can't have a mother just watch her son get sacrificed.
No, but I mean, you knew she wasn't going to get hit just because of her ring positioning.
No.
I mean, she got her hand up there. You hit her with a chair, you're breaking her arm.
And because what's the most interesting way to tell this story? The most interesting way to tell this story is you have Adam Copeland who comes in, right? Wants to partner with Christian Cage. Christian says, go fuck yourself. Yep. Okay? They've been lifelong friends. And now the most interesting way to say it is Christian has driven Adam Copeland so mad to the point that he's willing to permanently shelve a kid in front of his mother. Okay? What should have happened in that segment is Edge goes to lift a chair. The mother jumps on Nick Wayne. Edge realizes, or Adam Copeland, sorry, what he's about to do. And then Christian starts laughing up on the ramp because they got him. Because you are a psychopath now.
Yeah, he's unhinged now.
You're unhinged. We got you out of your comfort. You wanted to do this, and then it gives Christian the upper hand. And then Adam Copeland in the next can be like, "This is what I'm going to do."
The patriarch.
The patriarch. Sorry, but now like you've just accelerated this, and you've kind of jumped over all the parts that made it interesting, and now these two are just going to have a match in a couple weeks.
And this goes back to a couple different things that I'm kind of curious about. You got the backstage segment with Adam where he gives out the reasons of why he's going to do this, how, Christian was upset that he was going to take his spot and he's beyond that. Of course, he's beyond that. He's the guy that's been in the front light for the entire time. That doesn't matter to you because you have been the one that's gotten all the glory. You don't realize what it's without. But he's built himself, well, he's taken out a dude in front of his mom. He's curb stomped, kill switch into a chair.
Yeah.
He has become the bad guy in this situation.
Yeah.
He's still getting cheered. Swerve Strickland invaded a dude's house, tormented the kid, whatever, getting cheered. The villains of this promotion are the ones that are completely over.
Big thing that gets AEW, we've talked about this before.
Yes, the wrestling.
It's the wrestling. That's why they're cheering Swerve, because he's fucking cool. Yeah. I just think like Adam Copeland's backstage promo, like him and Christian's role should be flipped.
Yep.
Christian should be in the backstage being like, you're jealous of me because I'm having all this success, and you came over from the other place to try to leech off of me finally. Like, you can't stand not being in the spotlight.
Yep.
That's what the thing should be. And if you, like I said, if you have a writing team, you throw that up on the board, that's where you can flesh out these things. Be like, that's a way more interesting story than Adam Copeland fucking turned into John Wick.
But to me, the only reaction they're getting from people right now is, if you listen to Dynamite, the time that the crowd is the most vocal is Swerve coming out, and they cheer him on, they root for him because he is a damn good wrestler.
Yeah.
Anywhere else in that show, that crowd is dead. It is low key. They're not responding. But when even MJF, didn't get a great response until he started bad mouthing people, talking about how Long Island was better than Chicago or what have you.
Yeah.
They are not getting the reactions with the heroes of the program. They've just got a couple people that have, despite what they have done, the horrible things that they're doing, people like. And it's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yes, I think I'm going to come back to this as well, because I think they have a similar problem on Raw as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple of real quick things we need to hit on for AEW. Why is the House of Black in a back and forth match with two guys that no one cares about?
Stupid.
None.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And how is that the first time Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black have been a tag team?
I don't think that they said that. I don't think that's right, but
It can't be. And there's been a lot of Buddy and Brody. But,
and Malachi and Brody are kings of the Black Throne. They're
Right.
on a little offshoot, but like Commander and like House of Black should destroy those guys.
Should.
yeah.
I mean, there's no personality mask.
Outside of Swerve, House of Black should be the most protected act in that company.
No.
So the next point is actually Andretti's promo hilariously gets cut off by the commercial. I missed that.
Should have cut off in one
Oh,
more
you missed
time.
that? Oh yeah. Talk about production miscues. He just started and they went right to commercial.
I wasn't paying a lick of attention to
I
that
didn't.
part.
I
apparently.
don't get it. I didn't see it because the way I was watching it
Dante
had
Martin's
no
back.
commercial. I see picture in picture full screen. I don't get any of that crap right now.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I just got to see the promo multiple times going, man, I wish they had cut it off one more time.
Yeah. It's cool Dante's back though.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be out way longer. Doesn't feel like he's been out all that long, considering how fucking brutal that break looked.
Yeah.
Can we both agree that the Julia Hart, Mrs. Frost or whatever it is match was garbage?
Yeah, but Lady Frost. I don't think that's.
I don't think they're putting much.
Yeah, she's not. I like Julia Hart though,
Yeah,
and again, Julia Hart should be kind of stomping people, but
That match was rough.
she's green and she's also smaller in stature than a lot of people, so it's tough for her to get over like that.
yeah. And then the last point is Eddie Kingston versus Brody King was a stiff physical close to the show.
was.
I mean, Eddie Kingston. We've talked about
I
my
thought,
love for him.
I thought Eddie was going to die at the end.
Yeah,
with I forget what Brody's finishing move is, but
yeah. When I was talking about like Eddie is now positioned as a scrappy underdog, even though despite the fact that he put his two belts up. I also love that he explained why he put his two belts up.
he's a fighter.
He's a fighter.
I love his intro to Collision where they get to talk, and this made me laugh too because he's like, "Sure, I don't want to talk to y'all. I just want to kick somebody's ass." And then you get Daniel Garcia come out there, and it's hilarious that his words were, "I'm tired of doing these interviews, and I don't want to talk much," and then proceeded to be the longest intro of
Yeah.
all the people.
Yeah,
I'm trying to bring Jamie around to. She does not like the brutality of AEW, right?
Yeah.
But she did point out that she was intrigued by Orange Cassidy a week or so ago, and then I went in on Eddie Kingston the other night. I was like, I found the fucking what was the name of that article from a few years ago?
the Players Tribune.
Players Tribune.
Yeah,
I sent that to her. I was like, you got to read this. He was like, you want to run through a brick wall.
I like Eddie.
And so I'm trying to get her around to Eddie. So we'll see if that happens or not.
There's a lot of people on that show that deserve the attention they get on that show. And then there's so many others that I'm like, why the heck are we having to watch this?
I would agree. Sure, with that.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into a Survivor Series. I didn't see any notes for SmackDown, which doesn't really matter because
There was only like one or two things. I mean, the only things that happened on that weren't related to Survivor Series was Kevin Owens and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller doing a quick little thing, and Grayson Waller making fun of because Austin Theory was dressed up like KO, and he's like, "What do you? I'm not embarrassed. That's the best I've ever looked," which is hilarious.
That's pretty good. So Survivor Series Women's War Games, I have to admit, I missed this when I got home around 8:00 that night, and apparently you can't rewind live PLAs.
Now you got to wait for it to do the replay.
And I just
You
can pause. If you were watching it live, you can pause and then rewind.
Yeah.
But if you start wherever you start, that's where you have to
What
start.
were you
from.
watching on? I did that on my phone. I rewound it.
on Peacock.
Oh, through your phone?
Yeah. Were you watching it live or are you watching it?
No, I got in live and then I just
Oh, yeah.
went back to the
Yeah,
video.
I'm with him. I can't rewind it. What
Not
I get
on
is
my
what I
phone.
get.
Well, maybe I'm special. I don't know. I've watched all of them
Got
like
that,
that.
Peacock Premium over there.
I guess I do. If I do, I don't know. I'm fucking paying for it. So
We're paying like $12.99 a fucking month. We ought to be able to rewind them shits.
But if you're paying that much, I'm going to plug the crap out of this because Peacock is $1.99 on Black Friday deal right now. So I can get in on that
Get
crap.
in while you can fit in there. Yeah, I totally missed this match because I forgot to go back and watch it. So the point of this prompt here is, why does Damage Control always get their ass whipped? They've never beaten anybody and they've never looked dominant.
they've
Never. They come out on the losing end of every match. And
This
I
is the
understand why
only-
this one went.
This is the only heel group that's never beaten anybody. Bianca Belair beat all of them solo.
Yep.
They get in this damn War Games match. They all get beat. I don't know. What is, I don't, it's my body. I don't understand why you do this.
I get why they do it right now, just because you're getting ready to tell the story of Bayley being the weakest link and getting kicked out. And this is going to lead into the next one on here about the 3 of the 4 horsewomen comment that got brought up in this match.
Yeah.
Which tells me they're negotiating to get that 4 horsewomen back to do them versus New Damage Control, which will be, it'll do another pop like the CM Punk pop, honestly.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, Bayley taking all the abuse with shoving Kairi Sane out of the way, and Kairi Sane just over there kicked back on just watching her take finisher after finisher after finisher.
Yeah.
That is, this to me at least is a storyline loss, whereas the other ones they should have been going over.
I just think in this match, right, you're trying to tell the story that your Damage Control is about to exile Bayley from the group. But you could accomplish 2 things at once if you make it so that Bayley almost costs her team the match. But then Io, Asuka, and Kairi are such a dangerous threesome that they're able to win the War Games match, and then Bayley can be the weak link. Because what do you get? I don't understand what you get by having a random pairing of Bianca, Charlotte, Becky. Shotzi should have ate the pin. What the? Shotzi can't be at the top of the fucking cage.
100% on that one. Shotzi should have been eating that pin. But from those other 3, they are your super group of WWE.
Yeah, but I just think I just have a staunch philosophy that it doesn't matter what kind of 2 single superstars you put together, they should not be a group, a faction. Shouldn't have, like, if you bring 2 individual superstars together,
okay,
they shouldn't beat whoever are the tag team champions, because that's what makes tag team wrestling different. Yeah, MJF shouldn't be beaten. Like, if MJF was to go up against FTR, like him and Adam Cole
shouldn't have won against the Guns. Or
I don't think he should have won against the Guns either.
He consistently 2-on-1 wins against those kind of things, and
because going back to this match, you have Io Sky. She's the women's champion. Yep. Does she feel like the most important part in that group?
Oh, no. Flair and Becky Lynch were your highlights of that group.
But if you do it where Damage Control wins and Io Sky and Asuka and Kairi come out victorious and Io's at the top of the cage with the belt,
yep,
you accomplish everything. This was just backwards.
It is, but I'm still kind of this is the loss that made the most sense to me out of all the garbage that they've gone through, because they have just consistently gone through stupidity.
But they continue to eat losses.
So the next prompt here is Network seems to have updated a new best of
I'm telling you, that was within 13 seconds of the end of Survivor Series. You go back over to the network and suddenly there was a whole new channel on there of all these best in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
that's funny.
CM Punk through the ages.
That's funny as hell. Let's save this one for later. Gunther versus Miz, Clash of Styles.
This we have a difference on how we view which matches are important to us. You all have, with the AEW kind of view, love the high flying, the high spot moments, whereas this was a match that was consistently steady, consistently good, that brought me back to kind of like nostalgia matches in a way. This was a guy who was going up against Gunther, who had a completely different physical style, and it was just a solid progression. Psychology was there of how it was happening and why things were happening, and made it feel like we knew the Miz was not going to win. But there was moments throughout it that I thought Miz was going to shock me.
Counterpoint. We've never said that the high-flying aspects about AEW were our favorite parts.
I say high-flying, and I'm using that in a very broad sense of the fast-paced, action-oriented stuff that they're.
I like the fast-paced and impactful stuff, but that's what this match. This is what Gunther does in WWE. This is that style of it.
Some of my favorite matches, and one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW is Eddie Kingston, who
he is
slaps
just a
the shit
solid,
out of people. Yeah.
But when we're talking here, y'all are popping over like the Swerve Penta match, which to me is when people are having to position themselves and stand there for a moment to get the moves over kind of stuff is what takes me out of all the things. And that is one of those matches where, because Penta is built into
But at
that.
least the wrestling is good. Unlike last night, I cut it off when Natalia and whoever her partner was last night decide they're going to the ring. It's like, who gives a shit?
That was a garbage match.
There's too many of them.
But this and Survivor, like the Gunther Miz match, is a good example of what I think you're talking about and what we're talking about. Like the wrestling itself in that match meant something.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of times in WWE,
I think that's what I like
It
about
just
the Gunther
doesn't.
character. Is he's like,
That's what he's built
fuck
on.
everything else.
Yes.
yeah, that's what he is. He's not a sports entertainer. He's a wrestler. And that's
Wink.
Well, wink, wink. Sure. In that company, that's as close as what he gets,
Yeah.
right? But he has built, but like he boots to the face, the chops.
Yep.
Like he's laying his shit in.
He's an old school kind of mentality
Yeah.
to it.
And so, yeah, I thought this was, I thought the Rhea Zoe match, which we'll talk about, I
That
thought
was
it
the
was
weakest on the card, honestly.
I liked it, but I think this was probably, Gunther and Miz was probably the best.
Yeah.
You saying that over the 2 War Games?
When you see, and I didn't write this in the note, it's really tough to watch the War Games and watch any kind of like quote unquote hardcore match in WWE when like a week ago you saw a dude staple somebody's face. Like it's a different feel, dog. You just
It
watch
is.
these War Games matches, you go, oh man. But even the War Games matches of
Ooh,
the
he
past,
got a kendo stick.
even the War Games matches in like the 80s,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're bloody, they're
yeah.
brutal. I get
They're-
that WWE can't do that, but at some point you're like, if you can't do it, just don't do a War Games match.
Oh, see, I'm not disappointed that they do it, and it gives me a way to see it. Don't get me wrong. I love ECW. ECW is when people say AEW is like WCW. I don't get that. They are more the ECW to me in the sense that they are trying to push those limits, kind of.
They're
moments.
early Ring of Honor and ECW.
Mhm.
That's what they are.
But I'm disappointed that we had a Rhodes in a War Games match and he didn't bleed. I am disappointed in that.
Yeah, you get.
But I'm not. I thought they were solid matches. I thought they were entertaining. But I do think that the Gunther Miz match borderline stole the show.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. Santos and Lee lasting 7 minutes is a good thing.
This is where, because we were talking about how when I was like Dragon Lee versus Cedric Alexander was worth my price of admission. I don't need, and this is where it lost me with the Jay White and Roos match. I don't need a match to go 20 minutes just to go the distance of 20 minutes. Having that condensed in this particular show, no matter what they did, that was not going to be the lasting impression that we got from that show. It was going to, up until the very last 30 seconds, the War Games matches were going to be the things that people talked about. They could have gone 50 minutes in there, and they would have had to have a majority of the show in order to make them something that was going to last beyond the highlight of that moment. I think we got to see Dragon Lee as a performer excel. I think we got to see Santos show off what is going to make him excel as a villain in this. And that's going to be our mid-card kind of storyline for a little bit. But I don't think it needed to be a huge, long, drawn-out match. I think the short time, short spotlight it got, make the most of what you get kind of thing is what they did well.
I still know why I was on Survivors. Like,
Yeah,
this felt like this could have been.
SmackDown.
could have been
Yeah.
the highlight. Yeah, the main event of the SmackDown.
And evidently this was what they planned the entire time.
Yeah.
They intended for Carlito. Jeez. they intended for Carlito to get injured and for Dragon Lee to step up and show off that he is what, as Rey Mysterio says, the future of Luchador.
So Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark, and then in quotation, who's next? You know, the only reason to watch this would be to see Rhea, and it was not much of a match. I didn't think.
It was a decent match, but on this particular card, I think it was the one that was the most lackluster.
Yeah.
I guess Nia Jax, is that our answer here? And that makes me sad, but
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, where there's just so many people on WWE that, like,
In her defense, she's improved.
You say so.
Still don't care.
You say so. I mean, yeah, if she went,
still don't care is the
if she went from a 1 to a 2, then
she's a
that's-
solid 2 now. She's a solid 2.
doesn't
Anybody
mean she needs
would-
a shot at Rhea Ripley.
Well, they're buying their time until they get to WrestleMania because it's going to be Rhea and Becky. If Rhea and Becky, Rhea is going to take one of the top women.
And here's where, again, if we get the 4 horsewomen against the new Damage Control, that means it's Belair, and Belair is the one that would get that win.
I mean, maybe.
Somebody said Triple H gave me a raging Cliffy with so many cliffhangers.
That the end of War Games, there were so many cliffhangers left open. We had obviously the great return of Danhausen on EEW, and R-Truth and Randy Orton, and then he who shall be named later. So you had that cliffhanger of what was going on. You had the stories of Drew McIntyre storming out of the ring, pissed off, leaving the arena mad. You had Seth Rollins down on the floor yelling, "I'm going to knock him fucking out," flipping off
but you
birds.
don't see any of that until.
But still, that's
the next couple hours from then.
Yeah, you had the Bailey backstage interview where she's on the cart icing up going, I don't know where my team is. Tell me where my team is. There was just so many cliffhangers that left you. It was solid. Hey, we just did some stuff, and
I'll give them credit for, I was sitting there on the couch watching it. Cody gets the pin.
Uso and Randy too. So you had that cliffhanger as well.
Yeah. So Cody gets the pin. They're celebrating, yada, yada, yada. Jamie says, "Hey, can I ask you something, or can we talk about something real quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, wait till it's like credit. There'll be a copyright in a second. It shouldn't take more than another minute or so." So we're watching. Copyright shows up. I start turning the volume down. I was like, "So what do you want to talk about?" And she says something, and then I saw the graphic because I had turned the volume down, and then I went, "Oh shit, got to turn it back up." And I turned the TV back up real quick. And so that to me, that was the biggest and the most disappointing moment of the show, because I was intrigued by the fact that he was there, but all they did was let him get applause for 3 minutes before finally cutting off and completely overshadowing Randy Orton's return.
100%.
They set up zero story. They didn't do shit except let him get applause. And I was like,
but I get why they did it. That deal was done.
Yeah.
Within a short time frame. If you let that linger until January with the Royal Rumble, that's leaked. There is no way you keep that secret. You have to do it. And this is what kills me is the difference.
But at least set up a story.
Well, they and again, they do in the fan videos and stuff like that. You're gonna get some of that, but this is the dramatic difference between what I was seeing on Dynamite that was happening in Chicago and what we saw on SmackDown, what we saw on Survivor Series, of the difference. And I'm sure, don't get me wrong, I am sure that the crowds love AEW. Mic your audiences to make me understand it. Pipe in the crowd noise. Make me believe that somebody cares about it, because when people are just sitting on their hands, perception is the reality.
Well, there's a lot of people that when the match is going to WWE, everybody's sitting on their hands.
But they at least, if it's the crowd noise. If you're faking the crowd noise, good on them for faking the crowd noise, because if I'm hearing the crowd, I'm not paying attention to the crowd as much as I am the thing. When I'm not hearing something, I'm going, well, what's going on? Is there a beach ball going somewhere that's got somebody's attention?
Yeah.
Is there a macho man in the front row that's getting escorted out or what have you? But it's that perception. And whether the same people that were bitching that sentence about CM Punk and AEW and thinking he was overrated there were the ones that were cheering their asses off for him that night just because he had shown up and because it shocked the shit out of them.
I'm a little pissed that we got to spend time talking about him again, if I'm being real honest.
I'm not. Here, so I got 2 points to make before so the thing about Survivor Series, and I think this is the last note, is that like when you have CM Punk come back at the end of the War Games match, and they've already conditioned the audience this way anyway, the wrestling in WWE doesn't matter. That's the least. That's the least interesting thing that WWE cares about.
Now they are 100% the storyline, and I'm not mad at that.
Which This is the bombshell I was going to drop on y'all last night, but I wanted to save it doing the podcast. I think I'm out again. The only reason I started watching WWE again a year or so ago was because the Bloodline kept me interested. And the wrestling is not interesting enough for me to spend 5 hours minimum each week, plus any pay-per-view that happens, right? I can't devote more than 10 fucking hours. If I'm going to devote time to one brand over the other, I'm going back AEW again.
I think, and see, this is by design. I don't think this is a bad thing about the wrestling being the least important aspect of it.
Oh, it's 100% by design. I'm just saying that I'm with Corey. I'd rather watch the other kind of product, but like, I'm not mad about it. Just, it is what it is.
The way WWE is designed to do is, you could if you dropped out today and just came back for the Royal Rumble, you'll catch up on every storyline because they will run you through their storylines because that is what's important.
100%.
Yeah, it's not that I won't watch it all, but I'm not going to make it a point to be in front of the TV on Monday and Friday evenings. If I'm got nothing shit else to do, cool. I'll watch it, but I'm not going to like, I don't know, run home from getting some stuff done, like errands and stuff, and then be like, feel like I just got to sit down and watch this. Like
and that's,
I'll watch the pay-per-views.
And that's kind of, we're on the opposite there. I enjoy that storyline aspect of it, and I like to see the story beats of it. The matches, I'll be honest, unless I'm needing to pay attention to them, most of the time, I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
You look down for a bit, come up to see when something else happens, and come down. Whereas with AEW, the matches are the most intriguing part of their product.
Yeah.
And if I don't care about why they're fighting, that intrigue doesn't mean anything to me. It is the MJF Adam Cole stuff. I get that. That's a storyline. Their matches mean something. The Continental Classic, because they have set it up to be something, the matches mean something. It has its own built-in storyline. Keith Lee versus Lee Moriarty, I could take or leave any given day of the week.
Yeah.
House of Black versus insert random luchadors.
Yeah.
The Julia Hart versus Lady Frost. The Yuta versus Shibata. All those, I'm sure they're 100%. I'm sure that 75% of those were good technical matches. Yeah. But I don't care.
It's just, it used to be, and this is the way in AEW. Like, when you have feuds, the point of AEW and old school wrestling was, I got to see the match. CM Punk's back, cool. I only kind of want to see him in the ring doing promos. And by the way, that's all the WWE audience wants, by the way. Like, the match, Punk versus Seth Rollins, the match itself,
it'll be a solid match.
I mean, I'll probably go back and watch his promos every week. I say I was mad that I definitely don't. Last night was shit.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah, like I'll probably watch his promos every week. I don't need to watch him in the ring every week. And I said I was mad that we have to talk to him again. It's just, God damn.
But the problem with WWE too is that like where AEW excels in the wrestling, that's what takes up the longest part of that program.
Mm-hmm.
Where WWE doesn't excel the wrestling still also takes up the longest part of that program.
No.
The matches far out, like Nia Jax and the other girl get 12 minutes. The Punk thing was 5 minutes at the end.
Was it 12?
Yeah, they went to a commercial break.
Okay. I'll have to go back because I know like a lot of them were getting about 7 to 10 with commercial.
And the little backstage segments, like the thing that was great about Monday Night Raw, like I thought the best backstage one was Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre.
That was
45 seconds.
That was cool.
And then we got to go back to the ring and see.
But see, that was part 2 of a segment.
Yeah,
that was part because and while you hated the product of Raw, the parts that were the parts that I dug the most weren't the matches. I'll agree with that 100%. I disagree with you on the Randy Orton Dominic one just because that was fun. I thought Dominic got over what he needed to get over. You got to see Randy doing his thing and Randy being Randy. Huge ass guns now. I don't know what he was doing, but he came back with some big ass arms.
He's jacked.
But the intro to, I forget who opened up the show even. Rhea came out. Randy Orton came out. Randy Orton came out, and Daddy Orton was out there. You got Rhea, who is the only. I take that back because I do like Finn, I do like Dominic, but I agree with you on a later point we're going to talk about. Rhea is the star of Judgment Day.
Yeah.
100%. She can hold her own. I thought their segment back and forth was good. Randy saying he's going to take out the bloodline only to get sidetracked with a different project. Great. We're gonna get that. You get Drew McIntyre coming out there giving his speech about how he's getting rid of Jey Uso, Seth Rollins saying he's the working man's champion, only for Drew to get cucked by Jey once again, and having that moment. Sammy speaking his truth because Drew spoke his truth. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
Sammy spoke his truth. It's 100% true. We're still getting that villain turn, but it's a narcissistic villain that I love.
Yeah.
So I think they'll have a solid match when the pay-per-view finally comes around. Cody coming out there and being like, I'm not going to get sidetracked. I'm going after Roman, only to have Nakamura be like, guess what? All that crap, it's about you. Yeah. I'm coming from you. We get, again, storyline progress, and it continued to be storyline progress. You get Punk coming out who gave the weakest storyline progress, but they were top of the hour.
Yeah.
So the bottom of the top of the bottom, so that way they get there. We are holding your attention for the moments that count for the ratings.
Yeah. It's just in between that, I got to watch Tegan Nox and Natalya. I got to watch Nia Jax. I got to watch the two dudes that Jinder Mahal's managing.
I don't have it in me anymore.
The tag team turmoil match. That was rough. Indus Sheer, I don't get why they keep trying. I do get why they're trying to do it. They're huge dudes.
Well, and India is a huge market for WWE.
So I get that, but
it ain't these two dudes. Go find two other ones. It ain't them. And that's the problem. Like, I like the Creed brothers a lot. Mm-hmm. I also didn't know they were actual brothers, by the way, which is kind of crazy. But like,
come from a prestigious lineage. What that lineage is, I don't know.
But I also put this in my notes. I know we're jumping all over the place, but we're talking about Raw now. Like, the Creed brothers are going to have to evolve because, like, they can't just be good wrestlers. Like, you cannot just be a good wrestler in WWE and get over. That's DIY's problem right now.
Yeah, you're not Swerve Strickland in AEW.
Well, you're not AEW's fan base.
See, I'm going to disagree with you here. DIY, when they were in NXT, got over huge. They got over huge.
I think that era, though, the NXT fan base has more crossover with AEW.
I would agree, WWE. But I think they can still get over huge in mainstream on Raw brand. But it's going to take them, because the fans will pop for good wrestling. They will at WWE, but they also pop for those. They were popping just as much for DIY when they were doing backstage segments with Robert Roode doing Glorious Bombs. Yeah.
It just, like I said, that you can't just be the Creed brothers. Give me right now. I know they just debuted. It's just that, like, hey, we're good wrestlers.
They will grow into Steiner brothers, but one of them will have to do a big Papa Pump style transformation.
It has to be something, yeah. And also, I thought Tag Team Turmoil, there was no drama at the end because they're not going to do Imperium and Judgment Day. Why not have the New Day be the last tag team?
I would agree with Simple you 100% on that one.
Easy.
I missed all that. I was going for that second.
Yeah, the Creed brothers run through. They look impressive, but like the last team comes out, it's Imperium. It's like, well, they're not going to fucking do.
But it wasn't. See, and I would say that there were some soft spots in the matches with like the Indus Sheer where they did the roll up.
Yeah.
But I thought once you got to Creeds versus New Day and Creeds versus Imperium, the match started to get good. It was a little short.
Yeah.
But there was some drama built into it. There was good physicality. There was some risk. There was some high stakes to it of you get pinned, you're gone. These people are tired, kind of thing. So I think it built to it, but it is condensed. It's going to be shorter. It's not going to be the 20-minute time limit draw.
You just kill the drama whenever you have Imperium come out. Yeah. Also, my man Brutus. Dog, you gonna fuck up that finisher one more time, they gonna let you do it anymore.
Vince definitely,
because there's no way for the dude that's taking the move to protect himself.
And he landed on his side and ate it in the ribs. I
right, and he ate it right on the shoulder. Yeah.
So we're at pretty much an hour right now, but I do want to get one or two more of these in. This is interesting. Whoever came up with this, should the next Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar combo be The Miz and Gunther.
100%.
In what sense of Miz being
Paul Heyman.
Miz being Gunther's voice?
Mm-hmm. And you pair up, you're going to have to WWE in the near future will miss the kind of the monstrous heel. And Gunther is a good talker. He's not the best.
He's solid. He there's a believability. This is when I'm going to get back to AEW. I'm sorry. When Yuta came out there to interrupt Cassidy on, what was it, Dynamite or Collision? Yeah. He was speaking his truth, but he does so unbelievably. There's so many characters in there that they don't believe in themselves. So why am I believing in them? Whereas when you have somebody like Gunther who talks his talk and believes his talk, I'm in. I'm invested.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Miz needs to be his voice, but I definitely think the Miz will make somebody a great manager.
I just think you're going to miss Paul Heyman.
100.
Like Roman Reigns technically at this point doesn't need Paul Heyman. But Paul Heyman is a force multiplier to whatever you do. Like Jimmy Hart back in the day was a force multiplier to whoever he was, and he always worked with top guys. Gunther's going to be in the Brock Lesnar type of role in the very near future. And I just think their backstage pairing, you look at those two guys, you'd be like, man, Miz is not going to be a wrestler forever, but he's going to have a job in WWE. He's going to be a great manager. Yeah. Just do the thing. Put them together. They're going to have, they have a history with each other already. Like, you can imagine 5 years from now, Gunther coming down the ramp at WrestleMania as a champion and Miz is his manager.
I would disagree that Roman doesn't need Heyman at the moment. Heyman is the only thing that's keeping Roman relevant. So I think he does need him just because of Roman's part-time schedule. But I think he's also there more for...
He's really the only other member of the bloodline, if you want to think about it. Because Jimmy is not really...
But Heyman wasn't necessarily needed when they were doing the Sami Zayn type of stuff. You could have written around that. It's like I said, Heyman makes everything better.
I think he's more there for Solo, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
And Heyman is, anytime Heyman is on screen, he knows what he's trying to do. He knows his character. He knows how to get across a message. He knows how to sell.
Yeah, like CM Punk when didn't need Paul Heyman. It was a great pairing.
But I'm looking forward to the potential of CM Punk, Paul Heyman, Brock, or Roman, because you got three built-in people because Paul's going to slot in there because he already mentioned the wise man.
Yeah.
So it's going to slot in there. So you got three pairings that has potential.
I just saw Gunther and Miz backstage, and I was like, they look wise together.
Yeah.
They look good together.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. That's why I picked that. Yep. So I say each of you pick one of the things, because we're running over a little bit. Anything you want to talk about from what's left there on the...
Here's my biggest complaint about last night in a nutshell. They come on the broadcast and say, this is the most anticipated Monday Night Raw in a long time. And they proceed to just give us standard-ass Monday Night Raw for the whole 3 hours. People like me, like I said before we started recording, this is the first time in a very long time I watched all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw live.
They hooked you.
Never do it again.
Yeah, I say the same thing, but I was a little cheesed off that Randy Orton came out first, but that's fine because he had a major comeback this weekend, and I get it, since we kind of took a shine off of him Saturday night. But on the same token, it got to 9:00 last night. I was like, fuck, I got to watch a Star Wars movie or before we record some Star Wars podcasts tomorrow night. So I switched off wrestling and I was like, I give zero shits about this match. And they're like, Randy Orton and Dominic coming up. I was like, okay, well, I know what happens there. And then I was like, at this point, they're not bringing on Punk until the end. The thing about it was when he debuted on AEW for the first time, it was like right out of the gate. Hey,
well, there's a difference. There is a huge difference between that and this, though. WWE right now is trying to negotiate a deal to find a home for Monday Night Raw. It is imperative for them to draw and hold an audience for as long as they possibly can.
They lost me.
Well, they might have lost you there, but this can be a market of showing you how these people, these stars that we have potentially at any given moment, if we do the right thing with them, will draw people in to watch them.
Yeah.
This is a reason for us to spend big money on getting whoever it is down the road. So
I just think this was an opportunity. Like I talked about earlier in the podcast about the Attitude Era, everybody had a story. the biggest thing about the Attitude Era, it wasn't the raunchiness or like, you know, the graphic violence and the sex, any of that stuff. The thing that made the Attitude Era great to watch is that when you turn the fucking TV on Monday night, you had no idea what was going to happen. Somebody might fucking drive down in a beer truck. Somebody might get their ass whooped in a damn grocery store. Like any of that stuff could happen, right? Why not start this program out with Seth Rollins coming out and he's trying to avoid CM Punk? The fans start chanting CM, and CM Punk his music just hits and he starts. We already know we're going to get there. Just do it.
I think we needed. This was not the promo that any of us wanted. We wanted controversy, but that's not. Unfortunately, CM Punk is coming in as a babyface right here. He is his character.
He worked real hard to try to make people think he was the asshole, but you know, the last thing you hear right before it shuts off is, I'm not here to make friends.
But
I'm
see,
here to make money.
this is where I'm getting to. CM Punk's character is that he is against the status quo, right? So back when he was there 10 years ago, that status quo was John Cena, staleness, Vince McMahon not doing what the crowd wanted to. You ain't got that status quo anymore. Right now, the status quo is Triple H is running it. People are happy. People are getting what they want. There's everybody in the backstage area is great and friendly. CM Punk is now anti-status quo of that, in that he's coming in there not to make friends, but to be to make money and you know, annoy people. So it's still he is still contrarian status quo breaker, but it's a different status quo for him.
So do we believe that? Because it was pretty well known, I thought, before this, that he and Seth didn't get along. There was an interview last year.
He's a cancer.
You know, yeah, Seth said he's a cancer to the locker room. So are we to believe that this was all for real the other night, or was that part of a work?
I think he's working, but here's also the thing. When you bring in CM Punk, he makes everybody else look small. Star-wise.
Yep.
Like I put this in the notes. Seth Rollins has the World Heavyweight title.
I want to get into this because you said Seth Rollins is a second fiddle.
He's a second fiddle guy to Roman Reigns.
And I would argue that Seth Rollins is not a second fiddle. He's third or fourth fiddle at this stage.
And it could be that. He is kind of just like a nothing. That if that belt is on CM Punk's shoulder, that's the biggest thing in WWE.
Because Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, who's top dog there?
Roman Reigns.
Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes?
Cody Rhodes.
Seth Rollins or CM Punk?
Oh yeah, well, CM Punk is had all those guys.
So you're already down to 4.
Yeah, I mean, so like that's his belt is a consolation prize, and it sucks because he's a great wrestler. But like,
see, I don't think it's yes, it's a consolation prize, but at the same token, it is the only one that we are seeing consistently, and it is the workhorse belt. Roman Reigns, I think they need somebody to knock Roman out of his spot so that then the belts can kind of reset. I think if that happens before CM Punk gets Seth, awesome. But I think Roman losing his stuff will help reset that appeal a little bit as well. But because he essentially has one title, wink, wink, 2 titles.
Yeah.
And then they debuted this other one just to give this other guy. It hurts it.
It hurts it. And like, again, you have all these stars, right? Who main evented Monday Night Raw? CM Punk.
Yep.
You got all these guys come back. Doesn't matter. This is the biggest star in wrestling. But he's back on the biggest platform.
I don't know if that's going to be consistent either.
It is.
You think so?
Dude.
Okay.
Nope, 100% going to be consistent.
The thing that I wanted to touch on here, though, and this is kind of the thing. Right now, you have Randy Orton, face.
Yeah.
Jey Uso, face.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. Sammy.
Yeah.
Seth. You got all these big name people that are the heroes of your program. And I think this because I think we were all excited when Damian Priest won the senior Money in the Bank, but because Judgment Day is the only villain on that show outside of Imperium, and both of them are suffering from the same problem. They have 2 factions where one person looks amazing. The other ones kind of fall into like comedy or not following through on their characters or stupidity. So there is right now, your heroes all have a self-awareness. Kevin Owens knowing the rules of wrestling in the sense that if you say somebody's name 3 times, they're going to come out and kick somebody's ass. They know the stuff. It used to be baby faces were dumb as shit.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of reversed, where the baby faces are too self-aware, too smart, and your bad guys are dumb as shit now.
Yeah.
And it can't be that way when they should be the one terrorizing things. And so I think, much like I was talking with Swerve and Adam, you got to have that switch where you need somebody in those groups need to switch what they're doing up to do the other angle.
I think Randy will turn and CM Punk's going to turn.
So I think Jay is going to be the one that turns.
Jay, I don't see that happening.
Because Randy, they set it up as when they had the moment where Jay was talking with Randy and he's like, hey, I wanted to come see you before you came to see me, and be like, hey, bro, I know we did some shit. And this all said, I love that Randy acknowledges that he is an asshole and has done some stuff. I don't care that they did that stuff. I would have done that stuff. What makes me mad is,
I think Punk will get the turn probably quickest, right? Because we already know that, or public perception is that there's heat between he and Seth. So why not play into that if you can make it work somehow?
See, I think Seth turns before Punk on that one, because they're going to...
I don't think so.
There were rumors that part of the reason Cody left was because Punk got paid so much money to come into the company and he's not top dog anymore. So Cody was a little pissed, and then, Vince flies a fucking plane to go get him. Yeah. And he felt like a, big man on campus again. So,
but Jay, when he was like, if you're not part of the bloodline, I got no beef with you. To me, that's setting up the fact that Jay is eventually going to pop back into that bloodline story, and he's going to be on that team. Something's going to happen that's going to draw him back into that circle, which is going to get us the Jimmy J match, that maybe a Kevin Owens and the Usos again. But I think that bloodline story, I know they keep hinting that Cody is going to be at WrestleMania for Roman this year. I don't think it happens.
Bro, if it doesn't happen, I'm done. I'm going to be with Corey. I'm done. I'm done with WWE.
Because I think
night one has got to be Cody and Roman.
I think now you've got your two main events. You have
I think somebody screws Cody out of that Royal Rumble win. That's who he ends up facing on WrestleMania. Roman, I don't know who he's going to be going after at that stage. They still keep the rumors of The Rock coming back through. I know that's long past where you want to be, but that's WWE's motive all the time, is always pulling the trigger a little too late.
If Cody doesn't get the belt this year, walk your ass back on AEW, big dog. Let this contract run out and go on back. Because if you ain't the dude this year, you ain't gonna be the dude. I'm so bored by Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn saved the Bloodline story last year.
100%.
If it wasn't for him,
it would have been a hell of a lot shorter.
That's what made me watch WWE again, right? And now that whole thing is fucking boring.
And he much like Eddie Kingston, you talked about realness. Sami Zayn is the only guy in WWE that feels real. There's still a hint of fakeness about Cody. There's a hint of fakeness about Seth Rollins with these outrageous outfits.
I mean, you got Sammy and KO, right?
KO is the one I think feels so real outside of Gunther.
Gunther too, yeah. But it's just like watching, bringing it back to WWE versus AEW, like watching Monday Night Raw for 3 hours. Like the corporate plastic glaze that's all over this program. When you watch it straight through, just completely, you can feel it.
Oh no, it is completely different between the two. The professionalness versus the.
There's a punk rock element, no pun intended, to AEW that I dig. That WWE doesn't have and can't have because
they don't pull it off consistently. That's what I'm looking for. They don't pull it off consistently.
I would give you that, but that's why I've always said there's a wrestling promised land that AEW can get to. And here's the last thing that I'll say about this: shame on everybody in AEW for this CM Punk thing happening, because WWE is about to do the exact same thing that you had in your fucking back pocket, and you could have done it a hell of a lot better because you're not a publicly traded company. The fact I said this on a TikTok and people were like, "What the fuck?" I said if we never got CM Punk and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks with live microphones in the ring in AEW would be a failure. This is what has happened. Yep. You let them go back to WWE. Now, I will say, it's going to be interesting to see how AEW responds, because when AEW was at its hottest, there was a fuck you energy that they had.
They don't have that
about
anymore.
WWE. They do not have that anymore. But CM Punk goes over. Cody Rhodes goes over. Now, if you're the guys back in the AEW locker room, You can't tell me that if they watched the 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, they're not. Everyone in that locker room is not like, we're a better product than them. Like, we're better wrestlers than they are.
You can't say it because they not only did they not say that, one of your heart and soul foundations of that company has said they're out. And mind you, QT Marshall is not a wrestling star, but he was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
He was a backstage. Is he out for real?
He's out.
He's out. But that's what I'm saying.
Out.
Like he said, he said because they're going in a different direction. I think QT is the same thing with Cody, where Cody wanted to be WWE Light. I don't think any of those guys in an AEW right now want to be WWE Light.
No, Jay White came to AEW for a reason. Will Ospreay is coming to AEW for a reason.
Okay,
I feel like MJF has already signed.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the thing about him? You see the thing about him tweeting and deleting this morning?
Well, and also Bryan Danielson tweeted out like sometimes money's not the biggest thing. Like home, like that's what I'm saying. It feels like AEW now is like, okay, there's a shit ton of anti-AEW hate online. Like, I was going through the Squared Circle Reddit. It is obnoxiously how many people are like, AEW spit. Like, this is where you can kind of get the momentum going. Like I said, Seth Rollins is a little bit older. Kevin Owens is a little bit rolling. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, all these guys. I'm just saying, you have an opportunity here. I don't think they are going to get there because I don't think creatively they have the type of weaponry, so to speak, that they have when it comes to like the in-ring work. Like this company in AEW is only going to go as far as Tony Khan's going to take them. The biggest problem is Tony Khan's the boss and you can't fire the boss.
Yep. As a Panther fan, I understand that completely because I'd love to fire David Tepper.
But the potential that AEW had, like again, I'll say it, they could combine the wrestling with the damn storylines.
But that's the other thing. They bring these people, you're talking about Jay White. They brought him in. They watered his ass down so much. I mean, he started strong, but as you can see that he's losing his motivation as they're going along too.
I don't think so. I think right now, Juice Robinson being out is affecting him a little bit.
I think like what Steven's getting to though is that like they're not using their top guys well, because if you just go talent by talent, WWE to AEW, fucking AEW. There's no Nia Jax in AEW.
Disagree.
No. Talent-wise,
not that's on TV regularly. No,
zero.
You don't see people like Nyla Rose on TV anymore.
That is the problem with AEW.
Wardlow is still on their TV.
Not
Wardlow's
often.
Wardlow's better than Nia Jax.
Not by much.
Yeah,
Jake Hager is still on their TV.
Not regularly. When was the last time he's been on there regularly?
I guess
he was on there Friday.
Yeah, but that was the first time we seen him.
Go top guy for top guy, like. At some point, like you hit the Roman, Seth, Kevin, Sammy, Randy, Jay. Like, go look at the All In poster that AEW has. It's Ospreay, it's Samoa Joe, it's Adam Cole, it's MJF, it's Tony Storm.
We should do a draft in the sense because I think that you and y'all would disagree heavily on where I was. I think while there may be better wrestlers in AEW, talent wise, as far as pulling off moves and such, WWE has bigger stars.
Well, sure, they have bigger stars because they're the bigger company. They have the machine behind them, billions of dollars, that kind of thing.
Significantly bigger stars.
But I think that they're
a publicly traded company with a 50-year head start.
I'm just telling you, growing up in like sports locker rooms my whole life, I'm telling you, and knowing the type of people that like Moxley are and Chris Jericho, they watch Monday Night Raw, and they're going back and they're like, they're not better than us. We have to get our shit together. That company's not better than us.
They may not be, but again, your top guys in AEW, they're all out.
No, well, Punk and Cody, sure, but you can make new top guys.
Punk didn't go by his own accord. He went because he was told to get the fuck out.
I'm talking about injured. MJF, he can't go what he would want to do. Brian can't do what he wants to do. Cole can't do what he wants to do.
But they'll come back.
But Cole didn't happen in the ring either. Cole happened because he fucking landed awkward when he jumped off a stage.
Darby Allin is going to go off and kill himself on a mountain.
I'm just saying they're going to be guys. If they could get back to the energy that they had in 2019 when, like I said, there was a punk rock, there was a fuck you type of energy that they had. It's the best way to describe it.
Adam Cole and MJF are your top stars there right now. And I love Adam Cole, but he is not anywhere in the league as far as star power on any one of those people that you named.
No, but I would disagree that Adam Cole's in the top. Like, to me, John Moxley, Chris Jericho,
John
Omega.
Moxley is now fighting for a mid-card title.
But it doesn't now. Well, Seth Rollins has a mid-card title.
No, Seth Rollins has it is their official thing. There's mid-card titles there. While we may think that it is not the most prestigious one, they are presenting it as the most prestigious.
Because Moxley's fighting for the Intercontinental Championship right now doesn't mean that he's had his time. He's had the big belt 2 or 3 different times at this point. Like, he can't always have it.
Well,
right?
no, I don't. But any one of those guys you mentioned, at any given moment, they are right there in the mix in the top of the main storyline. Whereas the Blackpool Combat Club it's not where it should be. I agree that John Moxley has potential to be higher 4-stop, but I think right now he has gotten pulled into the quagmire that is that company because they are focused around something that storyline wise the AEW title nobody really cares about outside of Samoa Joe. The fact that it stood on Jay White's shoulders for a month and a half without MJF or Tony Khan or anybody coming in there and going, no, give that back, tells me that they don't value that. The ROH tag team titles were getting bigger bill than that because that was what, Cole was involved in.
Just tit for tat. I'm telling you. Like I said, growing up in locker rooms, that's going to be that's the mentality that locker room is going to have. We will see if they can pull it together.
Y'all have fun with them 5 hours worth of boring shit every week. I'll watch the PLEs.
I'm going to go back to watching WWE how I watch it, which is fast forward and do most of it.
I just can't. I can't do it. I was not in a good mood yesterday. And then I was dreading it all day. And then I dropped a fucking bottle of wine in the kitchen and watched it shatter everywhere. Then had to clean it up. And then it was 10 till 7. And all I could think of was, God damn. Do I really have to do this tonight?
And I think the ratings will be big for Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see a huge change next week because I think there's a lot of people me that are just going to be like, nah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the payoff at the end there was what needed to happen in order to get him over and I'll be honest. Everybody's talking about how it came off as fake. I think he is where he belongs. That is his home in the sense that he is more produced. He needs something that he can rage against, and he was not going to get that in AEW. Yeah,
but I don't fucking buy it anymore.
No, but it was the same promo that he gave when he came. He's consistent with what he does. He has a great presence. He has a great way of making people invest. But
when you said I know it's scripted and all this shit, but when you said I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money, that told me everything I need to know about Punk going forward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's always been. He's not. He doesn't care about that. This has always been my beef with Punk. He claimed to be the voice of the voiceless. Triple H said 100% in that promo battle that he did way back in the when. He doesn't care about the people's voice. He cares that he got to be the voice. He always wanted to be the star. Yeah. He wants the money. That is what he has been. That's what he is. That's what he will always be.
And for people online that were like, "Oh, that good on CM Punk for leaving the clusterfuck that was AEW," guys, this AEW rolled out the red carpet for this dude.
They did.
Okay. There's no fault. This was just sometimes things just aren't good fits.
He got involved in a storyline he didn't need to involve himself in and then got himself fired because he, from what I read yesterday, he was just like, hey, everybody else had already approved this thing with Jack Perry. And then Punk was like, well, why are we doing that? And then made it a thing.
But again, that goes back to our fundamental difference of letting them do what they want to do. They go out of their way at times to hurt themselves. And
that specific instance is that there's no AEW doesn't have an internal infrastructure the way WWE has.
But you're not the fucking EVP.
No,
Stay in your fucking locker room.
But your EVPs on that show are everything Punk is. That's the other issue. Is he is the same thumb on the same hand. So the Bucks and Punk are the two oils. They don't give a crap about anybody else except themselves, in the sense and making money for themselves. And good on them. If I could make that kind of money, I'd be making that kind of money too, and I'd be stepping all over people left and right to make it.
Yeah,
I'm not faulting them for it, but you have to recognize that they ain't looking out for anybody there. They just looking out for themselves.
Yeah. Whereas, like again, like I was talking about in 2019, 2020 with AEW, it felt like a team effort in AEW. I mean,
it was never going to remain that though with the Bucks.
Well, yeah, but now the Bucks are stepping back. Again, they just need AEW has an opportunity here. I say it all the time, but like if they could just get it together, I don't know what it is. Fucking just hire Jim Cornette and
Oh dear God,
do something like. Or Tony Khan just like again. Tony Khan is like the fucking weakest billionaire. If Jeff Bezos was a wrestling fan and he was running fucking AEW, you think any of this shit would be happening?
They'd be peeing in bottles right there in the middle of the ring,
bruh. Fucking a Jeff Bezos run AEW might be damn.
I'll say that's the difference between making your money and inheriting your money, I guess.
And being good creative and not being like, I mean, it is just because you got, you played with wrestling toys when you were a kid doesn't mean you can sustain all that stuff.
And there's a lot of people behind the scenes in WWE that don't like Punk, and legitimately so. I mean, if you believe the rumors, he chased out one of the people that was probably helping AEW the most in William Regal.
Yeah.
So William Regal is now back in that WWE camp house. Is his happiness, dictated by the amount of money he's going to get paid as well? Because I'm pretty sure he's not going to get a bonus over there. He's whatever his paycheck is what his paycheck is.
Oh, Phil Brooks called William Regal a stooge for Triple H, and now look how the tables have turned. Money changes, folks, and talks.
Yeah.
It does. Well,
I'd like to know what he's getting paid. So on that note, I say let's wrap it up. Covered an hour and 26 minutes so far. So we'll see y'all next week. You follow us on Instagram and X or Twitter, whatever the fuck they're calling it these days, at Alabama Slam Pod. And you can follow us on Facebook. Just search for the Alabama Slam Podcast and follow our network of fellow podcasters at the Alabama Take. You can go to thealabamatake.com. There's podcasts posted pretty much every day of the week, and they all each have their own feeds on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that other stuff as well. So tell a friend about us if you enjoy the show. Real quick, before we get out of here, New South Pro Wrestling update. Did you see the thing from Dylan McQueen?
Mm-mm.
He posted a video yesterday morning, I think, that said that after 4 or 5 years in wrestling, he's out for a while. He needs to take time to heal. And it was there without his like eye in and stuff. And so it makes me wonder, because he did a match or two after the New South thing.
Yeah.
So it makes me think if like he's really going to stay out for a while, like maybe he's injured or something. But lots of activity over on his Twitter page last night. So could be an interesting story to follow there. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. And y'all tune in again next week and we'll holler at y'all then.